So good, tasty.
So good and tasty.
What is up, YouTube? Today, as I mentioned in my last video, I do own a B8 S4. It has 220,000 miles. And we're going to talk about what it's like owning a high mileage B8 S4 today. So, I've had this car about, I'd say, 5 months now. I've put 4,000 miles on it. I really needed a winter beater kind of thing. I also have a 2011 Ram 2500 Cummins, and it's a Michigan truck. As many of you know, Michigan is terrible on vehicles for salt and whatnot, so I really wanted to stop the rust from spreading more on the truck. I do undercoat it every year. I started it last year when I got it. It definitely helps prevent the spread of it, but once it starts, you know, it doesn't really ever stop. So I really wanted a car that I didn't care as much about for winter, just to, you know, have fun with, all-wheel drive. So this seemed like a good pick. I drove 16 hours in one day just to go pick it up, which was not fun, but we got her done. But yeah, let's go into it. Things I like about the S4. It's manual, all-wheel drive for winter, not necessarily as a daily. I'd rather have a rear-wheel drive car. Looks, I'd say I'd give it like a 6 out of 10. This car in particular. I'll go through it with you guys, but it definitely needs to be lowered. It could use like a front splitter, diffuser, duckbill wing kind of thing. That would make it look a lot better, but I'd say it's a 6. It's kind of like a monster truck right now with stock springs. It's like somewhat quick. It's not fast, I would say. It's completely stock. The only thing that it has is an intake, which helps you hear the whine of the supercharger a little bit more, but other than that, yeah, it's quick, but definitely not fast. I'm pretty sure my C5 would beat it in a straight line just because it's so much lighter, but
Please don't do that.
not gonna lie, guys, I'd say the only other cool thing about it is it has a sport diff in the rear, so once snow actually does start falling here in Michigan, it should be pretty fun in the parking lots. We'll see if my all-season tires have any grip in the snow or not, but that should be some fun things to do. And to be honest, guys, that's pretty much all I like about it. It's definitely not my favorite car that I've ever had. It's pretty comfortable and like somewhat luxurious if that's what you're going for, but it doesn't really like make me emotional when I drive it, which I like to look for in a car. It's more of just going from point A to point B kind of thing. And that also brings me to some of the cons, which, if you're wondering, there's a lot with high mileage Audi cars in general. Any Audi that has high miles is gonna have a lot of issues, including this one here. So, let's dive into those real quick, just an overview. CEL comes on and off all of the time, and it's for the same issue. I'll show you guys in a little bit, but the supercharger bypass valve sticks open, doesn't actuate. I'm not really sure. I took it off one day, blew it with air, compressed air, and put it back on. It didn't come back for like 2,000 miles. And now it's just on. One day it's on, the next day it's off. So maybe the actuator's going in that or something, but it's a like $750 part from Audi, and I think there's an OE version that's like 300, but the whole goal of this car was to not dump money into, so that's not really what I want to do. And that kind of plays into why this is not my favorite vehicle as well. I kind of did it to myself because it has high mileage. Like, what was I expecting? Some of you might say, but yeah, tough. And that brings me to another major problem with this car specifically. It leaks oil like a freaking sieve. I can't really see it at my house because I have a dirt driveway, but when I go to work, I usually park in the same parking spot every day because I get in really early, but there's literally a gigantic puddle of oil from where I park. Like, if anyone walked out and it was an empty parking lot, they'd be like, oh, I wonder who was parking there, you know? Not Britt. Fuck that guy. The oil leak is pretty bad, and I literally can't figure out where it's coming from. It's somewhere at the rear of the engine, so it leaves me with like 3 major options. I don't remember it leaking when I bought it there, or having like puddles of oil under the car when it sits. It could either be the oil filter housing, which I'm hoping is that. I've checked it numerous times. It's like in the back of the motor. You can't really see behind it or underneath of it. I've tried taking the cap off and everything, but if it was that, it would be great because it's probably just the seal, right? And I'm actually going to be doing an oil change today, so I'm going to try to clean up some of the oil under the car, put the new filter and gaskets in there, and pray that it stops leaking, even though I don't know if it's coming from there or not. Second option is the rear timing covers on this car. Most of you may or may not know, the timing chains and all of the engine's timing is in the rear of this, as well as the previous S4. And to get to those covers, you have to drop the trans or drop the whole motor. If it is that area where it's leaking, I'm most likely going to have to drop the trans. Or what I really need to be doing is dropping the motor and trans, because the PCV definitely needs to be serviced. It should use a completely new timing kit. Tensioners, chains, guides. Audi is known for their timing to be bad, and for this car having 220,000 miles and it not being serviced, it could be on its last leg. I have no idea. But that also begs the question of, should I even be putting any money into this or just driving it to the ground? It's this huge internal struggle I have with myself, to be honest. It also could be the rear main seal, but I don't think it's coming from there because I can see it dripping on the side of the engine and down. And supposedly the previous owner had just installed a new clutch. He said he didn't change the rear main seal because it wasn't leaking, which I thought was the dumbest thing in the world, because you're literally right there. Why wouldn't you just change a $10 seal? Kind of blows my mind. And honestly, most cars, just expect there to be oil leaks. And some oil leaks on some cars are going to be a lot easier to fix than others, but I'll show you guys under the car. It's does not look fun to work on whatsoever. Everything's completely tight. There's way more components on it. So if you plan on buying a high mileage Audi in general than most cars, so I really have to decide whether I want to dive into this and completely drop the motor, or just try to focus on fixing like the CEL issue and hope the oil leak doesn't get worse, kind of thing. But it's this huge internal struggle I have because the whole goal of this car was to not put any money into it and just have a winter daily. Some of the other cons for this car in particular. First and third gear have a slight grind. I think the synchros are a little shot. I don't know if in an all-wheel drive cars like this one, is there a first gear synchro? I don't know, maybe some of you guys can answer that for me. But I don't know, I could probably do some research and figure it out. But third gear synchro, if I'm like pulling hard and shifting into third like as fast as I can, it'll just be this slight grind, which I'm not too worried about. But going into first, I have to be going under 5 miles an hour. It won't let me go into first if I'm not. And even if I'm stopped, it has to be really gentle, which I've got it down now. I know how to do it and it never grinds like how I shift into first. But yeah, it has 220K, and yes, I should probably change the transmission oil, which brings me back to like dumping money into this thing. I don't want to be doing that, but the transmission oil should be changed, and maybe that'll help the synchros a little bit. Who knows? Another thing, and yes, another kind of maintenance item, which you're probably saying, Britt, these aren't cons. Every car is going to have these maintenance items. And yeah, it for sure is. Wheel bearings are starting to go. At 60 to 70 miles an hour, it hums like frickin' Billy Joel singing Piano Man with a harmonica. But there's no play in them. I've checked multiple times. So bearings are probably just starting to go, and I need to most likely change all of the wheel bearings on this car. Last but not least, sorry guys, this is gonna sound repetitive, but I'm pretty positive like every suspension arm needs to be changed on this car. And you're gonna say, yeah, it has 220,000 miles. Any car is gonna have that. Yeah, but if you're thinking about buying a high mileage S4 and thinking you're just gonna be able to drive it comfortably and not have any issues, learn from me and know that the person before you probably had the same mindset that I do, where you're just gonna drive it and try to dump as least amount of money into it as possible. So just be wary. Make sure you check over like the car completely, get it on the lift if you can, and look out for those issues that I talked about. Other things that might go on this: coils, plugs will probably need to be changed soon. Water pump probably needs to be changed as we speak, but I'm just gonna send it.
Just gonna send it! Oh!
Another day, another beer.
Let's put this puppy on the lift, check her out, do a quick oil change. I do 3,000 mile intervals for my oil changes with this car specifically because it's got a lot of miles, and like the one thing that I know it needs is some fresh oil frequently. So hopefully that will at least save the motor from skyrocketing into the atmosphere in my ownership. All right, here she is in the air. Previous owner had it like slammed, so the fenders are kind of messed up, but other than that, not too bad. As we can see, massive oil leak coming from somewhere. It's kind of dripping down there. From there it seems. But there it looks like it's coming from the rear main, so I'm really not sure. If you look up here, kind of looks like it's coming from that rear engine covers. Hopefully that's not the culprit, because I really don't want to be dropping the trans or doing really anything to this car. But gonna do some more looking around and I'll fill you guys in. Also, I caved at Black Friday and picked up a gold Icon 3/8 ratchet, Not usually my style, but you know, I guess we better, you know, break it in the right way and just get oil all over it. Why not? Well guys, I kept looking under the car like I did the past 3 times, and I literally can't find where the leak's coming from. It seems like it's all over, but that's just because wherever it leaks from, it spreads, and yeah, you get it. You guys ever wonder why like 5-quart oil jugs have the plastic little cover and then the 1-quart ones don't? Just finished the oil change. Gonna take this baby to New York this weekend. I don't think it'll have any issues. Besides all the cons, the car drives great. The engine drives amazing for having that many miles. If you're willing to put in the work and the money, and you can get a really good deal on a high mileage S4, I think that's probably the move, because you get to learn something, you know, working on them. I don't think this car is near the end of its life. Like I said, I'd rather put the money towards the C5 right now, and time, to be honest, because this thing needs quite a bit of time put into it, I think, to be perfect. I'm really nitpicky with stuff, so I could keep driving it with it leaking oil, but it's just gonna keep getting worse. Also, while you guys are here, I might as well say this is my actual garage. The place we were at working on the C5 is Matt's dad's shop that we all work on our cars there together, but usually I have the C5 here, since I have a lift and everything. But I'll show you guys around real quick. Got some shelving. All my fluids, stuff. I got a spare LS for the C5 in case anything happens. This is my girlfriend's drift car, E46 330 CI. We're going through some problems with it. Once it gets hot, it starts missing and whatever, but we're gonna do like a compression test, leak down test, smoke test, all that jazz for the season, figure out hopefully what's wrong with it. My guess is coils or fuel injectors or something, or heard some stuff about like the cam position sensor can go bad when the motor gets really hot, so I don't know. But we'll get that figured out. She started this season, but it just kept breaking. She kept breaking stuff, axles, the expansion tank exploded and whatnot. But yeah, just a quick glance. Shop. It's like 30 by 50. It's one of the major reasons I bought the house. But as you can see, ceiling and the walls starting to fall down. Which is another reason why I should probably look into selling this S4, because I really like to put some corrugated sheet metal up on the ceiling and the walls, make it look a lot nicer. Kind of want to take this shelving down, just kind of give it away for free if someone wants to take it down, but kind of make this space a little bit nicer. Paint this nasty brown concrete here. Probably go with like gray or something, put some new lighting up. And I think that would really transform it a lot. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the quick review on the S4. Not sure how much longer I'll have it, to be honest, but if you guys were listening in the first video, F80 M3, baby, I'm coming for you. All right, peace, guys.